Guys, welcome to a little something different today. I'm going to be doing a power rankings video of a league called the BTL, which is the Banned Type League. This is a league where every season they choose one type and they ban it altogether. So this season it's Ghost type. There are no Ghost types that are draftable in this league, and you can't Terra into a Ghost type. You can't use Terra Blast Ghosts. You can still use Ghost moves though. So Shadow Ball and stuff is in the game. Just everything else, Ghost type, not cool, not allowed. Which I think is a really interesting format. So I've been asked to make this by Sully. He's the commissioner of the league. I'm not actually part of this league, but Sully approached me, and still getting to know the guy, to be honest, but he's a good friend of Jack. I know that. And friend of Jack's a friend of mine. So yeah, I was happy to take a look at this league, put together a little power rankings list of all the 16 teams. I'm not participating in this league. Did I already say that? Maybe. Just want to make that clear. This is a very outside perspective of what's going on. So let's cover some of the rules here, because that's important, right? So, yeah, 8-week season. Okay, the main thing is it's Nat decks. So, Mons that aren't in Generation 9 are available, unless you're Ghost type. And even Megas are available. Now, there's no Z moves, so that's banned. Hidden Power stays banned. However, every other cut move is available. So stuff like Return, Signal Beam, that is all available. And it also means that Mons like Rillaboom have their full move set, so you can use Grassy Glide, for example. So, Hazard Control is not as hard to come by as it might be in current day Gen 9. And like a lot of Mons have recovery moves that they lost, so stuff like that. So you have to keep that in mind when thinking about these teams, or at least I had to keep that in mind. You don't really have to think about it if you don't want to. So what are the rules are important here? You get any amount of Terra Caps you want up to 20 points. So I believe the highest Mon, let's take a look here, the tier list. The highest Mons were 18 points. So certain Mons were just straight up Terra banned, like Mew and Palafin. However, pretty much everything else could be Terra'd if you wanted it to. And so if you chose an 18 pointer like Great Tusk as your Terra type, you'd have 2 points left over for a secondary Terra type. So yeah, Shedtail, Revival Blessing banned. And I don't see Last Respects on here, although I guess they don't need to ban it because only Ghost types get it. So there you go. It's it's banned because it's a Ghost type only move. Although you could draft Smeargle and use Last Respects. Whoa. Has anyone thought of that? Okay, so I'm just gonna get right into it here. Well, no, I'm not. Let me define a few of my criteria. Because, yeah, it's important context for how I've ranked these teams. So I've considered that there are no Ghost types. So what does that mean? Psychic types are better than they were. Normal types, to a degree, could be better if you're offensive. They also lose one of their main niches, which is walling Ghost moves. So yeah, some normal types improve, some maybe get worse. I think there are a lot of types that I would consider mandatory for a draft. One of those is probably normal. In this league, probably not. I don't think it's necessary to have a normal type because there's no Ghost type to try and wall. Dark types, I still do consider a mandatory type, even though you're not trying to check ghost types. They're still important for psychic types, which are now one of the stronger types probably in this format, right? Since, yeah, they normally get checked by ghosts to a degree. And yeah, the move Rapid Spin. Any Rapid Spinner gets a small buff because you can't spin block anymore. So those are things I kept in mind. Like I said, I consider a bunch of types mandatory, so if you're missing one of those, it's gonna hurt you. Stuff like hazard control, removing and setting up are important. Pivoting, priority moves matter, only if you don't really have any. Or if you have excellent hazard or priority moves, you get bonus points for that. But a lot of teams are just kind of like mid on that, so I won't mention it a lot. Same with pivoting. And speed tiers are important. Having like nice gaps in your speed tiers to prevent mons from being adamant or like modest, for example, without having anything to lose. But also just having really fast mons, because Natdex has some very fast mons. So, you know, special notice to teams that have like something that's like, I don't know, base 140 speed or higher, you know. If your fastest mon is like 120 in Natdex, you know, it's kind of lacking, to be honest. So I think those were all my considerations. Basically, right? Let me just confirm here, because I can just bring up. Oh yeah, you get bonus points if you have like a nice trick room option. And I'm very much considering your usage of your Terra Captain. And so I don't think I mentioned this, but each Terra Captain you choose has to have one type that is its own type, and then they get one extra type on top of that to Terra into. So, yeah, I guess let's get right into it here. The lowest ranked team is the Fighting Wurmples, coached by HTZ Attila. This team is, it's got a few holes, you know? So I do recognize that I said psychic types are looking real hot due to the lack of ghosts to revenge kill them. And Mew's a great mon, especially in draft, right? But the rest of the team, kind of underwhelming to me. So definitely lacking offense, at least immediate offense. You know, your hardest hitting mons that actually have some speed are like Infernape and I guess Mew. So he's gonna have trouble with revenge killing, I think. But he does have some solid setup options, like Mew, as I said. Blastoise can Shell Smash. Enamorus is a great setup mon. Just gonna be hard to revenge kill, I think, is gonna be troublesome for this team. It's also very slow. Your fastest mon is Infernape, so yeah, I guess that goes kind of to what I was saying, you know, just a few seconds ago. But yes, the team is slow. All right, I think I've made that point. The Terra options are kind of mid. You've got Terra Rotom, which I think is cool because a Rotom has Levitate, and so you have a fighting type that has Levitate. That's neat, especially when there's no ghost type to take your fighting type hit. Yeah, Enamorus is a good Terra Captain as well. A Mew was not an option to be a Terra Captain, but I think I would have went with something like Infernape, which is your best offensive mon. But then that really just puts a lot of burden on Infernape's shoulders as like the main attacker. I will say the bulk on this team is very good. It's going to be very hard to break. So, I mean, if you play this team well, between Mega Venusaur, Melodic, Ting-Lu, Miltank, Blastoise, Mew even, very hard team to break if played properly, but just lacking offense. So he's going to need to play it in a very specific way, I think. The pivoting is very good, I will say that. And your steel type's kind of bad, you know? Sliggoo as your main steel type, not ideal. Yeah, so overall, not a big fan of this team. I think if I were to make some changes, I would probably drop some of the bulk, get another fast offensive Mon, maybe something on the special side. Although Infernape can go either way, right? So yeah, just another fast offensive Mon would help this team a lot, I think. He does have webs in the form of Orbeetle. So yeah, maybe the strategy is just bring webs a lot and then chip things down, because you've got some decent hazard options with Ting-Lu and Mew. Miltank. Yeah, but overall, unfortunately, this is my lowest ranked team. Next we have the Minnesota Lycanrocs, coached by Scarletary. I'm gonna butcher these names, but they're fun to say. This team is not bad. I just have some nitpicks. I will say most of, if not all of these teams are solid to great. And yeah, like this team I don't think is bad, but it is missing a poison type, which is pretty important in draft because people will spam toxic spikes against you. And to compound that, the removal on this team is not very good. You've got Altaria, Sandslash. Does Swellow get Defog? Maybe. I'm not even sure. But yeah, not great. Really not good. It's terrible. it's really bad. You've got Mega Dancy for Magic Bounce, but Magic Bounce is more of a luxury on Mega Dancy. It's not a mon that you're actively switching in too much to try and block hazards. So definitely an unreliable strat. You do have Victini, who hates getting revenge killed by mons like Palt, you know, Blacephalon, Spectrier, Gengar, Zoroark. So yeah, big points for having a very good psychic type. I love Victini. But yeah, a few shortcomings here. The Terra situation is quite confusing to me. You've got Terra, so you got good options. Like Terra Iron Hands is cool. You could, if you want to do lower tier ones and stack them up, I think Terra Swellow and then either like Indeedee or Scrafty would be cool choices. Terra Dark Rillaboom, I don't get it. So comment if you're watching and explain. You get stronger knockoffs, sure, but yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure what the point is of that. And Altaria, Terra, Fire, like, I don't know either. Terra Fairy, Sandslash is pretty cool, I will say that, but that's not a mon you're gonna bring to every game, you know. You got double terrain, we got no Unburden users, so that's more of a nitpick, you know. Missed opportunity. Seems pretty weak to ground, but you do have Rillaboom. Might struggle with like special ground attackers. The team is slow, so you're gonna need to bring Swellow a lot, I think. Mega Dancy's obviously pretty quick. But after that, you only got Swellow, so... And Swellow's great. That's why I think it should be one of the Terramons, but yeah. Some good tanks on this team, but there's no real great recovery options between them. But as far as positives go, the damage output is really high. And you got a fun little Trick Room option if you want. You know, Indeedee can set it. I think Dancy, yeah, Dancy can, which would be weird, but you could do Trick Room Indeedee plus Iron Hands. So it's an option. Yeah. A lot of cool individual mons on this team, but synergistically, I don't think it works. Next team, we have Sleepy Time, coached by Embiid the Savior, aka Gucci Mane 69. So what did I have to say about this team? Right, my main gripe, the first thing I noticed, so there's no fire type, which is not the end of the world always. However, fire types are nice when you've got a Ferrothorn, which is 2 times weak to fire, and a Gliscor that's 2 times weak to ice. Sorry, 4 times. 4 times for both of those. It's nice to have a fire type, you know? So, a bit of lacking some synergy on that, I think. Kind of lacking immediate power, I would say. No extreme heavy hitter on this team without setup. So that, you know, docking you a point on that. You do have terrain with Sneasler, which is nice for Unburden. However, it's only Misty terrain from Weezing, which actually actively works against Direclaw. So, you know, losing a point on that. I don't actually have a point system or anything. Just like bullet points that I've made. Yeah, no great priority options. Yeah, Fake Out, Sneasler, that's kind of it. So if a mon gets set up in front of this team, you better go into your Weezing, sack it, and then go into Sneasler, because otherwise it's going to be hard to revenge kill, I think, if something's very fast. Speed-tiers are okay. Like I was saying earlier, fastest mon being 120 leaves a little to be desired in Nat decks, but it's not bad. And again, you have Unburdened Sneasler. Excellent hazard control. Starmie, Gliscor, Altaria, Weezing for removal, and then, you know, Ferrothorn alone is great for setting up. But then you also have Sandy Shocks, Dunsparce. Dunsparce is a great one-pointer. I feel like it should be worth more. So big approve on that one. And then lastly, the Terra options are solid. I think Terra Reuniclus is pretty cool. Because that mon, I mean, in a meta without Ghost, it doesn't need Terra necessarily too much. But of course, Terra Fairy is always nice to have. And it gives it some nice coverage against dark types, where otherwise it had to rely on Focus Blast. So that mon will be a threat, I think. Terra Sneasler is just really good, though. That mon is a lot of points for a mon that can't break poison types at all without Terra. I mean, depends on the poison type. You can use like acrobatics and stuff, I guess, but yeah, I think if it were me, I'd probably do Sneasler and something else, which I guess would have to be Dunsparce. But because you're kind of, I mean, I don't know, how often are you bringing Mabosstiff to games? It is your only dark type, so maybe more than you want. But maybe I'm just a Mabosstiff hater. But I don't know. I would probably do Terra Sneasler, but I'm not hating on the choices. I think they're solid. Overall, this team's not bad. I like a lot of what it has going on. It's going to be really annoying to fight. And yeah, solid team. Next, we have the Portland Trailblaziken, coached by some random Ben, aka Weedwick. So what do we got here? This team, okay. At a glance, you look at this team, you're like, what the fuck? This team's amazing. Why do you have it so low? There's a lot of good here, you know? There's a lot. that's quite nice. However, it's missing some stuff. It's got some holes. First thing, there's no Stealth Rocker at all, unless Trapinch gets rocks. I don't think it does, because then Flygon would have rocks. Yeah, so I don't think there's a rocker on this team, which is pretty big. You need Stealth Rocks. You need Stealth Rocks. And if you don't have Stealth Rocks, you better have a shitload of other ways to get hazards up. And currently, it looks like you just have Excelgor with spikes, and I guess T-spikes, and then Slowking with T-spikes. You can bounce back rocks with Hatterene, but, you know. And especially with this team, you want rocks, because you have Mega Charizard, so you do not want rocks on your side. So your own rocks encourage your opponent to defog their rocks away, or they just have to suffer through having your rocks stay up because they don't want to remove their rocks so they can harm Charizard. You know what I'm saying? you get what I'm saying? So absolutely, I think this team would shoot way up if it had a Stealth Rocker or two, or even just like some extra, you know, spike stackers or whatever. This team is missing some key types. There's no water type. There's no dark type. There's no grass, which is arguably a problem as well. So your water resists here are Slowking Galar. Is that the only water? I mean, it's not a water resist, but yeah, water types are gonna fuck this team up. No dark type means yeah, something that can set up with like stored power. Like that Mew set, which is like Cosmic Power, Body Press, Stored Power, Roost. Like that is a strong set against any team without a dark type. So you might want to fix that up. That's a pretty big one. And then no grass is not the biggest deal, except that you don't resist water with anything, like I was saying. And let's see, how are you doing for electric? Not bad. Not bad. If you can Mega Charizard, it's okay. But you just don't have like a Leech Seed or Spore switch in, which is annoying sometimes. Not the biggest deal though. And the other problem I have with this team is another big one. Anything under Charizard, you don't really have to speed creep. So if I have a Hydreigon, I can basically go like max HP, max special attack, and not worry about anything. But however though, this team has really good Trick Room options. Two really good Trick Room setters in Hatterene and Slowking Galarian version, which are two mons I have on my PPL team, represent. And then you got Ursaluna, of course, as the recipient of the Trick Room glory. And another big one here, maybe under the radar a bit, is Crabominable. This is a very nice choice because this mon really synergizes with Slowking, because not only does it benefit from Trick Room, it also benefits from Chilly Reception. I heavily considered drafting this when I picked up Slowking. You could do Lagging Tail Slowking with Trick Room and then Chilly Reception the next turn. Still go last, so you can take the hit thanks to Lagging Tail. And then you go into Crabominable with Trick Room up, and he's got the defense boost, and he's fucking your shit up. It's good. It's a good combo. So I like that a lot. You got a regen combo here with Torn, Slowking, and Mienshao. Like some very high quality mons on this team. Unfortunately, just missing a bit of like cohesiveness, I would say. And then yeah, Terramons are good. Like Crabominable is pretty sick for the reasons I mentioned as a Terra captain, because it actually meshes very well with this team. Although you do lose the ice defense boost if you Terra. And then yeah, Terra Fairy Ursaluna is pretty cool. You lose your fighting weakness. So that's pretty good. So yeah, a lot of good things about this team, but just needs a few mons swapped out. A rocker, something with like a middling speed tier, and maybe make it a water type, you know, if you can. Next is the Kansas City Coughings. This team is ranked mostly as high as it is due to having Mega Medicham and Metagross, which I think thrive in a metagame without ghost types. Particularly Medicham. Like I was saying earlier, a lot of the things that can come in Revenge Medicham are not in the game. Dragapult, Spectrier, Blacephalon, Gengar, Zoroark, Hisui. Those are the main ones, but it's hard to force out. You have to be faster than Medicham or else you die. And sometimes if you don't have super effective coverage, you just die. Because the bulk is not great, but you can invest in Medicham's bulk if you want, and it becomes pretty solid. So excellent mon in this format. And Metagross benefits from all the same things I mentioned. Sure, you've got Dual Psychic, but like if there's any metagame to have Dual Psychic, it's one without ghost types. Now, some other solid members of this team. I like Togekiss, Thundurus, Nidoking. Arcanine's pretty good. One gripe I have is the Terra Captain situation. I understand not wanting to do... Oh wait, no. Oh, you could absolutely do Thundurus Eye and still have Shiftry if you want it. So I think Thundy Eye is just a way better Terra Captain than Togekiss. Prove me wrong. I don't know, I've never seen Terra Togekiss in action because I don't really play Nat decks. So I could be wrong about that, but Thundurus is a very good Terra Captain. You give it Terra Flying, Terra Ice, and you're good. You're laughing. As it is, this team struggles with electric types. You have Nidoking to, block electric moves, but that's a frail mon. Any kind of coverage can two-shot that thing, if not Oko. And no other real resists. I guess Shiftry, but that's not great. So electric types would be a problem for this team. This team is also very slow with very little speed control. You may have to rely on T-Wave, Prankster, Thundurus, and this team does have really good priority, I will say that. You got 2 Bullet Punchers at the top, Fake Out as well with Medicham. Nidoking gets Sucker Punch, Arcanine gets E-Speed, Shiftry gets Sucker Punch, pretty sure. Quillfish, Aqua Jet, etc. And then, Prankster, Thundurus. E-Speed Togekiss. Pretty much every mon has priority. It's pretty cool. It does in one way or another, except Vaporeon and Ditto. But Ditto could. So that does make up for the lack of speed, but the lack of speed is pretty big. Yeah, especially when your top mon is locked into that speed. There's no option to put a Choice Scarf on it. So yeah, your best Scarfer, I don't even know, because I don't think Thundurus is the best Scarfer if you're taking hazards 25% every time you come in, Togekiss, same deal. Nidoking doesn't have a pivoting move. Yeah, no really good Scarfer on this team, so that's tough. The hazard options and removal are kind of meh. You got Togekiss, I guess Thundy also gets Defog, but not really what you want. Hazard setup is not bad on this team. You got a few decent options, but removal is going to be a struggle. You might have to bring Defog Togekiss every week, or often, at least. But yeah, offensive presence is strong. Defensive presence is pretty good. And yeah, just having Mega Medicham probably bumped this team up a few places in my mind. Next we have Smoliv Garden, which is one of the best, probably the best name in this league, and coached by the Scary Smoliv. This team, okay, top Mon, first Mon, Corviknight, wouldn't be my first choice. And then yeah, there's just no like top Mon. Oh, sorry, Garchomp has Scale Shot. My mistake. Garchomp's actually amazing in this format due to having Scale Shot. So you're lucky Garchomp fell to you after picking Corviknight first, let me tell you. Defensively very sound. Slowking, Corviknight, very annoying to take down. Rotom as well. Rotom gets Pain Split. Florges. So defensively quite nice. Lacking a bit of immediate offense. Garchomp and Porygon Z can kind of make up for that, but otherwise you're trying to set up a lot of the time to do damage. I do like the combo of Slowking and Cetitan. The Chilly Reception into Cetitan is quite nice, especially as one of the Terra captains. Terra Electric is a great choice for Cetitan. Yeah, if you're not doing a like Terra Garchomp, then I really do like the Terra captain choices here. But I think Terra Garchomp would actually be amazing in a format where it gets Scale Shot again. You don't see a lot of Terra Garchomp in Gen 9 draft, but it lost a lot of its offensive presence with that Scale Shot being able to boost its speed. So if it had it, it would be Terra'd a lot more, and I think it could be a strong option here. But then you lose Terra Cetitan, so it really bumps up the value of Cetitan by giving it Terra. So I do like that. Yeah, hazard removal is great, but setting up you're gonna have to rely on Garchomp a lot of the time, which is unfortunate because it's your best offensive Mon. I think, yeah, otherwise you've got like Rocks on Primeape. And like Spike's Roselia. So yeah, Garchomp is going to be leaned on a lot for rocks, which is not great. Priority is bad. You only have Cetitan Ice Shard. So similar situation to that team earlier where if the team gets set up on you. At least this guy though has Electrode, which is base 150 speed, and potentially like Hail Cetitan, which is super fast. So maybe not as much of a need for priority, but I mean, Electrode's not going to come to that many games. Even as a Terra captain, it's like, it's good, but it's way better than it would be. It's good value for a 2-pointer, I will say. Really good, but still maybe not a Mon you're bringing to most games. Yeah, and that kind of limits your revenge killing options if you don't have Electrode, because Cyclozar is your other second fastest Mon, and that Mon is not revenging much. So yeah, that's going to be difficult for this team. But I think the strength of the Terra captains and just like being so defensively sound is what I had this team kind of middle tier for. Next we have Kaylee 101. No, not the New Orleans Ninetales. This team is called Kaylee 101, coached by Tiger Swarm 54. So, well, what's going on here? We got 3 real nice Mons at the top. And you got a Greninja down there too. Some good stuff here. Latios especially is fantastic in a league without ghost types. Great Tusk as well. There's no, you can spin without worrying about, ooh, should I go for knockoff instead first? You can just spin and spin forever. And no ghost is quite nice for its fighting coverage as well. So I think This person took advantage, definitely, of the lack of ghost situation with the top 3 picks. Not that Volcarona is part of that, but Volk is also a nice choice. Definitely a great Terra captain. It's banned in many leagues from being able to Terra. It's that good. But I will say that Terra Water, I think, is a better choice if you only have one option. I think Water is probably better than Grass. But Grass is still solid. You can power up your Giga Drain and stuff. You don't have to run Terra Blast and then... But your secondary Terramon's usually not probably going to compete for who's going to Terra in a game. So yeah, I think Water's just better. Avalug's probably not going to be a factor a lot of the time. In fact, one of my gripes about this team is the bottom 2 Mons feel kind of unnecessary. I guess having Avalugg as a secondary spinner is pretty good, but you got like the best spinner in the game in Great Tusk. Wigglytusk bringing not much to this team. You've already got a fairy type. I don't think normal types are super necessary because there's no ghosts. So yeah, I don't know about Wigglytuff here. Avalugg, yeah, I don't know. I think you could consolidate that into, if it's allowed to have that many Mons, I think you could consolidate into a 6-pointer and be better off. Although, yeah, I guess you'd lose a Terra captain if you did that. So, I don't know. Tough spot to be in, I guess. I would just drop Avalugg and get a different 4-pointer, perhaps. Although as a fairy type, it's not bad, right? Because its biggest weakness is its typing. So, fairy Avalugg, sure, yeah, why not? So this team, I was thinking, would struggle quite a bit with a special water type. I guess there's Latios to take hits, but otherwise it might be a bit of a problem. What else is going on here? Yeah, it was a lot of mid options here. Seemed kind of mid on priority, on hazard control, on the speed tiers. So I had to rate it in the middle. And that's what I've done. Don't hate this team at all. It's got some strong pieces. Sneaking in Battlebond Gren at the end there, quite nice. But, or like in the middle, quite nice. But, yeah. Not the most inspired team, I don't think. Next up, we have Princess Gothitelle County. Coached by Sol Nluna. Sol Nluna. This is another team that just is like solid all around. But maybe just doesn't have enough to push it into like the top tier. No weak links on this team. I will say I am a fan of basically every Mon here. But a few weaknesses. There's not much in the way of hazards set up. You got Clodsire, and that's kind of it. I guess you have Diancie as well. Diancie's not bad. And of course Cloyster, but Cloyster's usually not filling that role. But Clodsire does a well enough job that it's not a huge concern. So maybe that's actually not a good point, you know? I probably didn't consider Diancie when I first made that note. Pivoting, really strong on this team. Not too much to like pivot into to blow something away other than maybe Armarouge, or I guess like a banded Zapdos. So I will say, while it does pivot very well, might be hard to like fully take advantage of that depending on the matchup. There's a pretty big speed tier gap after 100. Yeah, like Mandibuzz is next, but you're not usually creeping max speed Mandibuzz, or Scizor for that matter. I guess Armarouge is the same speed as Scizor, so yeah, Armarouge would be next, but there's a nice, pretty fat chunk of Mons right under base 100 that can go like max power with like a decent amount of bulk. So that's a bit of an issue. But speed tiers 100 and higher are pretty good. You got Jolteon, Latias up there. I will say this team has some of the better Terra captains. I really like 5-point Jolteon. Giving Jolteon ice coverage just makes it so much better. And Zapdos is a pretty cool one. Fighting, you know, it's one of the better fighting types, and now there's no ghosts, so that pumps it up a little bit as well. And yeah, electric is nice for breaking down the flying types that might want to come in, or, you know, water types, what have you. There's a lot of defensive water types out there. And yeah, Latias is a good mon when there's no ghost types around, so. And Armarouge too. Yeah, I like this team. I think it's well-rounded. It just doesn't like blow me away, you know? Next, we have the Anchorage Appletons. I've just realized I'm not really giving a number to any of these. I'm sorry about that. So where are we at here? Whoops. At 16, we had Fighting Wurmples. 15, Minnesota Lycanrocs. 14, Sleepy Time. 13, Portland Trail Blaziken. 12, Kansas City Coughings. 11, Small of Garden. 10, K. Lee 101. 9, Princess Gothitelle County. 8, Anchorage Appletons. We're at 8. We're halfway. Wow. It's been a long... Who knew I had so much to say? What are we at here? Jesus. It's okay. It's okay. Anchorage Appletons, guys. This to me strikes me as like a high skill ceiling team. Now, mostly because of Kommo-o and Necrozma are both setup monsters. And if you're a good team builder and a good player, you can really make these mons work, especially Necrozma with no ghost types around. And Kommo-o benefits from that too, actually, being a fighting type and being Terra Normal. So yeah, Terra Normal is kind of nice on Kommo-o for Boom Burst. I'm guessing that's why you would have it. I'm not sure what else. Get Stab Belly Drum. I don't know if I would have picked Terra Normal for Kommo-o. I feel like Steel could have been good, because the main mons that want to check Kommo-o are fairy types, and to flip the matchup on that would make Kommo-o a lot harder to deal with. I do understand normal though. It makes you have to respect the special Kommo-o a lot more. I would personally probably just do Steel though. And then I like this team because you've got a whole bunch of like very solid to great mons, and then 2 points left over. You got Karkle and Spidops, which are 1 point mons that are pretty good. Spidops I think is better than 1 point, and they are mons that like force prep for 1 pointers. What more can you ask for? I don't think the Terra types really matter on these mons. Maybe it'll come into play in a game. I kind of doubt it. But yeah, good use of points, I would say. And like solid defensive core. There's a bunch of mons that don't get recovery that really benefit from Wish from Sylveon. So like Tentacruel, Goodra, and Mudsdale all love it. So that's pretty nice. The team does lack like a super potent breaker to come in without setup and just like smash something. So that's one nitpick. Could come into play. The team is pretty slow. Cinderace being the fastest mon, not great. There's no real like Trick Room or like Unburden. I guess Necrozma could be Trick Room, but who do you have to take advantage of that? Spec Sylveon maybe, like that's kind of Banded Mudsdale. So yeah, speed. Yeah, this team will probably have some issues with speed. But yeah, it'll be very hard to break this team, and very versatile setup options at the top there, especially. So I had this team pretty high. Next, number 7 is the Encarta Escavaliers, coached by Bacano. Period. Is Encarta a place? Or is it the program that was an encyclopedia before Wikipedia existed? You guys ever remember Encarta? I'm probably way older than most of you, but back in my day, back in about 1995, you have a CD-ROM, you stick it in your desktop computer, which had a slot for CDs. You put it in, and then a program would open, and it was it was called Encarta, and it was the encyclopedia. It was very limited, but as a kid I was like, whoa, this is crazy. And then the internet came out. My dad was like, yeah, the internet, it's like Encarta, but bigger. And I was like, whoa, bigger than Encarta? Anyway, fun fact about Encarta and me. But anyway, so we have the Encarta Escavaliers. This team, wow, super threatening top 2. And then like Terra Toxtricity and Terra Flygon I think are very cool options. I don't know, I might have done Terra and Emrys over those, but I think I agree with this decision. To have 2 like really solid mid-tier Terra captains is probably better than just having 1 and then a shitty one. In this case, I like Terra Steel Flygon because you get a steel type that has Levitate, and you're flipping the matchup on like incoming ice moves. And what else? Flygon Week 2, Dragon, Fairy. Oh, it's perfect. Steel Flygon, fucking genius. Yeah. So this team has a lot going for it just with that alone. What did I have here? The removal is iffy, but not bad. Yeah, I guess that's true. You got Defog on Talonflame, Flygon, and Polion. I guess that's it. Yeah, so that's not amazing, but it's okay. The ground immunities are generally frail. You may struggle with some strong ground types. Yeah, I guess when your options are Azelf and Amorous and like Talonflame and Flygon, there are several of them. None of them are that bulky, so a strong ground type with maybe like rock coverage might be an issue. I guess Flygon takes rock moves too, but you know, ice is also an option. Otherwise the synergy looks really good. Triple poison is cool, but I don't think it hurts this team. The speed tiers are good. Quite varied. Still, you know, not super fast. Talonflame being your fastest guy is fine. Not, you know, as good as it could be though. But overall, good speed tiers. And yeah, I like the Terra options, like I said. So, overall, quite a nice team. I like it. Next, at number 6, we have the Hamilton Toxic Apes, coached by Real Blackbeard. This team has a lot of cool pieces, and some glaring holes, but the pieces kind of elevate the team to me. So you have Tapu Lele, which absolutely thrives in this format without ghost types. Yeah, a lot of its biggest revenge killers are not in the game. My biggest gripe, I think, is not choosing Zeraora as a Terra captain. I think that's smart. It's choosing Terra Flying as Zera's. Okay, first of all, I think it should be Tapu Lele, because you give Tapu Lele like Terra Fighting or Terra Fire. That's probably Lele's main weakness, is it struggles with like stuff like Ferrothorn or, I don't know, Steel types, right? So yeah, Terra Lele with no ghosts around, just a dominant Pokemon, I think. And like, I think Terra Zeraora is also a great option, but I think if you're gonna do Terra Zera, you maybe want like Ice or even Psychic to take advantage of the Psychic terrain, because like, think of the mons that typically wall Zeraora, the Nidoking, Nidoqueen, Stunfisk, unironically Stunfisk. Yeah, like Ice would help with all of those. I'm drawing a blank, but when I use Zeraora, I remember getting walled pretty often. And so you have to look at its checks and then choose a Terra type accordingly. Flying helps defensively, but I think with a mon like Zera, you want to use a more offensive Terra type. But I would just do Tapu Lele instead if it was me. But that said, Ursaring is an excellent 3-point Terra captain. This mon does not have to worry about ghost types switching in on Facade. And then, yeah, Fairy's just nice defensive typing to resist the fighting moves coming its way. So, some good stuff there. I do like Zeraora with, like, combined with Psychic Terrain, because you limit all of the priority moves coming at it. So, I like that. Overall bulk on this team is like pretty good, but very much lacking recovery options. So, that's tough there. Team would love like a Wish support or something, you know? The removal options could be better. You're gonna have to bring Defog Lando, or just bring Fortress if you want to remove hazards. So sometimes Fortress has a bad matchup. In fact, often it has a bad matchup. And then you also just don't want to run Defog Lando a lot of the time. So you might have to make some uncomfortable decisions there. But this hazard setup is quite good. And some strong speed tiers for sure. That's one of the strengths of this team. Having Zeraora there, one of the fastest mons in the format, and then just a bunch of mons over base 100 is pretty nice. And then you got like Lando and Gudra, and then you have to speed creep Ursaring a lot of the time too, because it's such an offensive threat. So good stuff with the speed tiers. Yeah. This team could be higher, I think, with just some subtle adjustments, mostly the Terra stuff. IMHO. This whole thing is IMHO though, right? That's the name of the game here. Next team is the Cardinals, coached by Zangoose. Coached by Zangoose. This is a rain team, but I like this team because it very much can function outside of rain. There's several water types, but a lot of the beneficiaries of rain on this team are not water, so you can easily create a non-rain version, which I think is cool. So good job. First mon selected being Screamtail is suspicious, though. I'm not sure what was going on there. There's no mon higher than 13 points on this team. It works, but there's definitely not like one mega threat that teams have to be worried about. I think Terra Volcanion could have been maybe better than Barraskewda. Barraskewda's not too flexible, and Volcanion can be a little more flexible, but I understand the sheer power of like Barraskewda going Terra Water, you know? I get that. And Barraskewda is pretty good in this because it retains Flip Turn. So otherwise I would say just grab Floatzel. But yeah, I think it's a solid Terra Captain. Volcanion is just nice because you can Terra it into a Mon or a type that is like weak to water and it has water absorb. So I like that, but not always necessary. I understand just going mega water offensive, you know? So other notes here, I really like Wish support on this team with Mega Aggron and Volcanion and Seismitoad. And maybe even Overquill. It's quite nice. So Screamtail does support this team pretty well. Solid hazard control. Yeah. Bunch of removal options and a bunch of setup options. Pretty cool. And as with, you know, having a rain team in Swift Swim, a lot of speed tiers for the opponent to consider. You've got like ultra mega fast Barraskewda. You got like Seismitoad, which can double its speed, which is still very fast, but like you can outspeed it, but you have to account for it, you know? Some okay priority options here with Breloom and Armaldo with like Aqua Jet. Overquill gets Aqua Jet as well. Yeah, I think it's a pretty well constructed team that it's missing maybe that like one ultra powerful Mon, like I was saying, but otherwise I think it's a well built team. Next we have we're at number 4 now. That was 5, this is 4. With the Rising Rayquazas, coached by Davias D, sad face. Davias D has assembled a very Mountay looking team. A lot of cool colors. You got every type pretty much covered here. This is like generally how I try and build my teams. I'm not saying it's the best way to do it, but it's probably just the reason I have this guy so high. There are some holes in this team though. For example, what do you do against Scald? The move Scald. And like water moves in general, but mostly Scald. It's a problem. The team is also pretty slow. However, I'd say this team has the best priority in the league. You've got Palafin, Jet Punch, Conk, Mach Punch, Mamo, Ice Shard, Comfey doing everything. You got some anti-priority in Tsarina if you want to count that, so that's kind of cool. Pretty nice defensive core. Heatran and Zapdos, just in general, pretty tough to break through. And yeah, I just give a lot of points for having Palafin, because that mon maybe shouldn't be legal, it's so good. Team's got good hazard control. Some, you know, solid removal options, solid setup options. And I like the Terra options here. Conk looking fucking good with no ghost types in the mix. You can Terra Normal, get the boosted Facade, Stab Facade, with the Flame Orb. Very nice. And Guts, very good. Espeon also, loving the no ghost thing. And it's a pretty good Terramon as well. So I think great work on that. Overall, I just like this team. I just like the look of it. I like the feel. So that's why it's number 4. Next, number 3, we have the Trick Room Abusers, coached by Rapid Flames, aka Dancing Roach. This team is really good. Incredible top 3. Like synergistically, individually, just a really good top 3 there. And then some excellent role players too. Porygon 2, Cresselia, being able to set up Trick Room for Melmetal is very nice. He's got Unburdened Sceptile with Tapu Fini as an option. Knuckle Stack demands prep. You know, you might need to run Covert Cloak when you see that thing. Raikou, excellent mon. Moltres, great in a lot of matchups. Beedrill is solid. I used Beedrill once. I found it was not as good as I expected it to be, but the speed is undeniably useful on this thing. This team will force a lot of people to run Rocky Helmet due to having Melmetal and Beedrill. You're also going to probably see a lot of rocks with having Moltres and Beedrill. Yeah, I think he's got ways around that. Some decent removal here. I mean, you've got Moltres and Tapu Fini. Moltres is a great defogger, but it's probably also not a mon you want to bring to every game. So that actually might be a little bit of a struggle if people start hazard stacking this team. Yeah, but not the end of the world. This team lacks a dark type, which, as I was saying earlier, I do consider it an essential type to a good draft, but a lot of that is defending against ghost types, which is not a factor in this league, but also store power psychic types or something like Tapu Lele. You know, it is nice to have a dark type. Although Lele has Moonblast, so maybe bad example. Strong ass psychic moves, or really just the mons that can set up and use store power on you. If I see a team with no dark type, that is the first thing I'm thinking of usually. But this team has some bulky mons with like Porygon and Cress that can take on psychic types, even though they can't really phase them out. So I don't know. It's a concern, I think. It holds this team back a little bit. But yeah, I love the speed options on this team. Being able to do Trick Room and go super fast if they want. Amazing damage output and absorption as well. Oh, my cat is entering the fray. Excuse me, buddy. Just doing a little PR vid there, bud. Where are we at here? Terra types. Okay, yeah, I like Terra Melmetal. I don't think I would have done Terra Flying. I think I would have done a more offensive type. This is the same thing with Zeraora that I was talking about. Terra Flying is a great defensive type for Melmetal, but there are just mons that this thing struggles to break through. And if you could fix that, why not do it, I think. Like Terra Electric would be pretty nice to deal with the water types that want to come in on like double Iron Bash, you know? As an example. So yeah, I think I would do something like that instead. Terra Flying on Sceptile makes some sense because you probably want to use acrobatics often. This is also a mon that lacks coverage though sometimes, and it already has the move acrobatics, so you could have given it additional coverage by choosing a different type. But I don't think flying is a bad option. Yeah, otherwise, yeah, I'd really like this team. Amazing top 3. Gonna be tricky to fight with all the different things it can do with speed. Next is the Charlotte Mega Bees. This is the second best team, IMHO. This is a Sun team that just has a lot of incredible mons that are good in and out of Sun. So this is similar to the Rain team in the way that I was praising it, where yeah, you don't need to run Sun on this team for it to be good. But if you do, every mon gets a little better. Not every mon, but like most of the mons. Roaring Moon gets the boost. Walking Wake gets the boost. Venusaur gets the speed boost. So yeah, I like it quite a bit. There's a bit of an ice weakness on this team, that it's going to be hard to switch into ice moves. Your steel type's Berserker, your water type is part Dragon. So that's an issue, but no one drafted Kyurem, so not a big concern, I guess. If this team fought Kyurem, it might be a problem, but not a thing. Speed tiers at the top are really good, especially with like Venusaur being able to double its speed, and then there's just a lot of variance after about, you know, Thundy and above. And then he's even got Charger Bug for Sticky Web, although that's not usually a factor. The one gripe with speed is after 80, there's not much. You got a speed creep, but that's not a huge deal usually. One of the issues I have is I think Terra Thundurus would be worth having. It's not really an issue, more of a preference thing. Terra Walking Wake is great as well. Being able to spam Terra Water, Hydro Steam is maybe better than giving Thundurus flying and ice coverage, but giving Thundurus flying and ice coverage is pretty good. Or you could go Terra Water on Thundy since it has Bolt Absorb, which is also really nice. So that's more of a minor nitpick personal preference thing, but Terra Walking Wake is also really good, so that's neither here nor there. No T-Spike or Spike kind of hurts his team, but got some rockers, got some solid hazard removal, you know, a couple spinners. Defog Thundy, I guess, is the only defogger, but doesn't matter because there's no ghost types, so you don't need to defog. Yeah, solid defensive synergy. Mega Lopunny, I will say, probably gets worse in this meta. It already had Scrappy, so it didn't care about ghost types. All it did was kind of lose an important immunity. I mean, Mons can still carry ghost coverage, I believe, so it could still come in on like a ghost move if it needs to. I don't know why you'd run ghost against this team though if it wasn't stab. So yeah, slight nerf I guess to Lopunny, but Lopunny's such a good mon. It has its full like move pool here, which includes close combat, triple axle, U-turn, which it got in the last generation. It has the buffed version of Scrappy, which you can't be intimidated. It's just an incredible mon. So yeah, that I think that sums it up. Pivoting's really good. Damage output is top tier. Those are the other notes I had. This team's gonna be really hard to fight. And then the final team, the Bristol City Baywares, coached by the Bristol City Baywares. Now this whole thing is me being biased, but I have been feeling like Tapu Koko is probably the best mon that you could have in Gen 9. This is my potentially hot take. I haven't seen any NatDex leagues. I haven't been in any NatDex leagues. I don't know if it's actually as good as I think it would be. But look at how good like Torkoal is, because it creates like epic sun teams like the one you just saw. Well, how about an actual incredible mon in Tapu Koko, which can also facilitate the other side of the photosynthesis mons, which we don't have currently. We have Pincurchin. Pincurchin teams are not really a thing. People have tried it. It's not great. This team has Iron Treads and Iron Leaves, which can both benefit from the terrain that Koko itself benefits from. Particularly Iron Leaves, which gets so much better in electric terrain. Due to you get the proto boost and its stab move goes from 80 base power to 120. It's like the opposite version of Hydro Steam, right? Plus, there's no ghost types here. And it gets Terra fighting this guy chose, which, again, benefits. No ghost type. So, Iron Leaves looking like the best 13-pointer in the goddamn league right here. This mon's going to be a monster. And then just the rest of the team, I think, is really strong. Iron Treads in terrain is amazing. Hydreigon in general is amazing. 10-point Alomomola seems high, but it does have Scald still in this, so I'll give you that. And Knockoff has Scald and Knockoff, so pretty good. Glimmora is a great mon. Terra Oricorio, if you guys know me, you know that I love Terra Oricorio. That thing can straight up sweep entire teams if they're not prepared or if they just have a bad matchup. Sometimes you don't get a choice, you just get swept. I believe it's every I think it's every Oricorio form, if I'm not mistaken. So that's pretty big too. And being able to choose any base form, because you're essentially, well, you're always having flying and fighting coverage once you Terra. Once you Terra, they're all the same. But until you do, you have the option to do fire attack, electric attack, ghosts. I guess not ghost. You know what I'm saying. Psychic. So yeah, excellent Terra captains. And the one thing I'd like to see, you have two really good, well, Porygon's whatever. But it can set Trick Room. Porygon is an underrated mon. I think 1 point is a bit of a steal for Porygon. And then you have Bronzong as well to set Trick Room, but nobody's abusing it. That's my main gripe with this team. That and the priority options are poor. If you even have any. No priority, maybe? Yeah, but not a big concern because you can always run Speed Boost, Photosynthesis on Iron Leaves and Iron Treads. So not the end of the world there. Yeah, great hazard control on this team here. Yeah, you got Glimmora, you got Iron Treads for removal. No ghost types blocking your spin. Frig, guys. I think that was all my notes. I think that's everything. Guys, I think we've done it. Guys, thanks for watching. Yeah, that wraps it up. This was all my very, biased, subjective opinion. If I rated your team low, well, I've been wrong many times before, so don't take it personally. And if you're an objective viewer who knows nothing about this league or these people, but you want to see some of this action, I'll let Sully leave a link or something in the comments. And maybe they've got like a Discord. They probably have Discord. Maybe there's like a replay channel. If not, Sully, you should probably make that because people probably want to see this crazy no ghost type league and the future iterations, which maybe they'll have no friggin' water type, for example. Be any type. That's the beauty of it. Okay, guys, thanks for watching, and catch me friggin' for my next video. Thanks, bye.